By the time I write this story, will be roughly give or take a month removed from trade deadline. How do you approach this, given the fact that basically you have to set the strategy for down the stretch and the season is barely started?
Well, I think I think what I have to look at is where we are at that point, and so we have to wait roughly another month to really see if this team is going to contend. Are we getting a number of the healthy or the injured players back, and are they healthy, and are they able to play at a good level because of missing a number of games? I think when you evaluate all of that, then we can make the call that says, do we add and pay a price, a future price, to give ourselves a real good shot at playoff time, or do we just continue to show patience and we, because we don't have a couple of key guys back in the lineup and playing, do we just wait and hopefully as we look past that there's a bigger picture?
So right now you're saying basically you have no idea, no set plan, or you have many set plans?
I have a variety of thoughts on what I'd like to do. The one thing I've maintained all along, though, is that we're not likely going to trade a top young prospect at this point to get a veteran player for a playoff run. If we got a player back that was mid-20s, late 20s for a younger player, and that player would be with us for a year or two beyond, that's a different discussion. But I haven't got that name yet, or that situation cropping up yet.
And that's likely, those are the hardest transactions to pull, probably.
Those are the hard ones, and you can only do that in all likelihood with a team that's not going anywhere right now, or in the next year or so. At least that's the judgment they make, and they're ready to sacrifice something that can continue to play for a real top young player.
When the season started, it was pretty obvious. You had one key injury to Jared Cowan, so you said that ideally you would have to try and get a veteran presence on defense. That obviously changed. The plan changed because of the way guys have played, because of the other injury that came around.
It happened very quickly too. Unfortunately, yeah, we had talked about doing something, with a real quality veteran guy, and there was a couple of guys out there that we had targeted, but almost immediately we started to get a couple of injuries, and that went by the board. But it went by the board for a couple of reasons. A couple of our young people come up from the minors and competed very hard. Looked like they could play, and I could only foresee them getting better as we went into the year, and I think that's the case. So the urgency wasn't quite the same. I really suspected after losing Jarrett that there'd be guys filling, but they wouldn't be adequate to play and help us win. But I was wrong, because some of them have stepped up, and you bring Gribe in now later, but even Borwitzky come in and played, Patrick Weirkoch come in and played, and they're more than adequate. They're going to be good NHL players, so why not ride them, let them grow, let them get better game to game, and the end result will be, because of the injury to Jared and now Eric, we've got two or three other defensemen that are really going to benefit from it.
So what you're saying is you might have the opposite problem at some point down the road if everybody comes back healthy with too many bodies.
We may be able to do something to get some other need filled. But I don't know that we'll ever have too many in this league this year anyway, the way players keep falling. There are so many, the games are so intense and so, it's almost at times careless in the contact that you have to have more than enough bodies to continue on.
I guess people will want to know about the status of Sergei Gonchar as a veteran older guy who's in his last year of his contract. Is there any thought on your part about doing anything one way or another with him?
Right now, we've thought about and talked about a lot, without a doubt. We do, as we do most every player, and in particular guys in last years of their contract. I think we're going to let it play again and see where we go. We like Sergei. He's been a real nice fit for this hockey team. He passed the puck. He runs a power play. And he's been a proven winner. So we'd be remiss if we don't really consider what we're doing with him next year. But I'm not prepared at this time to either make a contract offer or do anything for the next little bit at any rate.
And I guess, if you were out of the playoff picture, you could consider maybe trying to move him. But at this point, there's
Yeah, I don't even want to think that way, but yeah, there are different things that could happen depending where we stand in the latter part of actually the latter part of this month.
But I mean, if you stay competitive and stay within,
yeah,
you can't really afford to let him go. At this point.
We can't subtract people, that's for sure. But I think, and my philosophy has always been, you got to give your team the best chance possible to win, and if you're subtracting and not getting something really good in return, then that doesn't make any sense for the group that's left. So we're going to be, again, we're going to watch as we go forward here and try to make the right judgment at the right time.
The goalie situation strikes the imagination of Sens fans because you got to understand that they've been for the better part of the first 20 years without quality goaltending, and now all of a sudden they have too many goalies. And what do you tell fans who think that maybe you should act up quickly and trade one of them away to get
I think I'm like the fans in Ottawa. My whole career has been one where very good teams for the most part, contending teams for. I said to Denny Potvin the other day, I come down, he was shaking his head when we beat, I think it was the Canadians we won, and I said, well, that's what you must have felt like every night when Billy Smith stopped pucks for you, and I had at times a better team in Washington, but you have to have quality goaltending. You have to have guys that give you a chance to win. We've got 3 people that can do that at this point in time. Is it too many? Well, one's a two-way contract and a young player, and it will sort itself out. Whether I have to trade one of them eventually to make sure the other 2 get lots of game time or whatever, that will have to be, again, a decision. But at this point, I'm very happy that we have the 3. We talked about moving one early in the year, and now we have an injury, and we have an adequate second guy every game to play if necessary. So I just want to be very careful. Like I'm sure the fans would applaud if we can win because of goaltending. I'm happy to do that.
But you feel like the fans at the same point in your GM's role, you always try to move parts in order to try and make your team better. This must make you feel like you've got some wealth, got some
we have some.
on your
Ottawa now has some assets. There's no question that the drafting that Pierre Dorion and his staff have done over the last 3 years, the couple of trades that the pro scouts and Tim have helped execute, have given us some depth in positions that we didn't have in the past. I know for a few years there we had nobody really to call up. Now we've got people to call up. So number one, then number 2, if there's an extra part or an extra player that may not get a fair chance in Ottawa because of numbers, you'd like to use that asset to help, whether it be for a draft pick, so we can continue to grow the organization or another player that fits better. And that's the judgment we have to make as we go forward.
You won't be able to put a name out there, but when you guys are going to, out of the 3 goalies that you got there, pick one and say this is going to be our guy with whom we're going to try and win for years, what are what qualities will this goalie need to possess or to present to you to earn that trust?
Well, I think just winning games. I think that you look at the 3 of them that we have. Craig Anderson's a proven guy in the NHL. He can win games, and he's done it this year already. He did it last year at times. The team's not going great. He just won the game. Ben Bishop come in, and we knew he was a great backup when we got him. We were very confident he was that. To me, he's more than that. I told a couple teams that have called me about him. I thought he was a certain level of player. He's above that level. So again, big, competitive guy, looks after himself real well, fills the net, seems to have the mental ability to win games in a crisis, and he's done that. And Robin Leonard, we keep and have said all along, he's an outstanding talent. He's young. He's just becoming a top-end goaltender. So I don't know that there's a unique characteristic for each or any one of them, but they all have shown the ability to win games, and they're all physically fit, they're young, they're competitive people. So the judgment you make is just that. You make a judgment on one of them at some point and probably keep the other 2.